I'm here, and let's talk about what people should be doing in their garden right now. It's after Labor Day. Some people think gardening's over and done with until spring next year.
Well, we certainly don't think that. So, and that's okay if you do, but if you are like us and we still have plenty of time to do some gardening, to harvest, whatever. So the biggest thing is that now is the time. If you haven't pulled many weeds, now it's the time to pull weeds because they're going to reseed and then they're going to come back next year.
Because you got one seed or one plant now, and if you don't get rid of them before they go to seed, you'll have 573 plants possibly.
And in most locations, it's cooler or going to be cooler out, so you can pull weeds and not have to sweat as much.
Now, this is one of the key elements of the reasons why we transitioned from ground garden into raised bed gardens this year.
Oh yeah, because we had more weeds than we had anything in ground, and now we're in a better situation.
Smaller area, but more productive. Because this year it's the year of the green beans for us. Obviously, we've had tomatoes and we have peppers. Potatoes didn't do so well. But the year of the green beans, we're picking, what would that be? A 2.5 gallon bucket every week now, out of,
I mean, it's starting to slow down.
Yeah.
But it was like every week. Yeah. It's funny because I was talking to one of my friends in Colorado and she's just got a lot of squash.
Okay.
And I was like, we're drowning in green beans.
It's not a bad problem to have.
No.
I think we've froze or blanched and freezed around 85 to 90 cups of beans now, in 2.5 cup bags in the freezer, which is an easy way and the best way we have found to preserve the beans. And you've heard that multiple times on this program if you follow us on a regular basis. But we got a lot of green beans and we're happy about that. We've got good tomatoes. We're happy about that. And the potatoes was about the only thing. We don't have the squash this year, or the zucchini we don't have. Your sister does.
Yeah, she's got a lot.
But we, could be worse. So you should be pulling weeds if you're not already. That's something that needs to get done to limit, not totally extinguish, but limit the amount of new weeds that will come up next year, assuming that you have raised beds or if you're able to purge your ground gardens with the, removing those weeds and continue to keep those at bay.
Another thing you want to do is you want to evaluate how things did this year. So for us...
Did you win the Showcase Showdown or did you lose and overbid?
We won the Showcase Showdown of green beans.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And pretty good on tomatoes, I would say.
Yeah, we're still got a good month of harvesting tomatoes.
But then sadly for us, womp womp is the potatoes.
Yeah, we've never had. Now, your sister in her yard, we only planted 6 potatoes. That's what filled out the raised bed that she had. Very good harvest compared to what we were doing. And we've planted in good new compost, and we just have given up the hope of having successful potatoes. Some of you are able to plant one potato, and you got 37 pounds of potatoes that come off that one potato. I'm exaggerating, but you have a phenomenal harvest on that, and we've just never been able. Now, your sister, we had some good years in the backyard of her house, but overall, it's when you can buy, and I'm going to go inorganic at the supermarket, potatoes $3 for 10 pounds. You can't grow them that cheap. That just is not going to happen. But you want to write down, take photographs, make note of, hey, this did really good in this area. This did very poor in this area, and then. If it did pour in that area, like we're trying to figure out the potatoes, did you plant something in partial shade that needed full sun? Or, why did something succeed and the other didn't? Did you have a disease? Did you have a lack of nutrients in the soil? What may have been the cause of positive or negative results in that in that area, for that species or that variety?
Right. So that's definitely something that you can consider. So you want to plant your fall garden.
You can do that still, even if you're short on time. Radishes take 30 days to reach maturity. Lettuce, spinach, you can get baby lettuce and spinach off of those. Turnips take 60 days. Rutabagas take 90 days. So that peas take 70 days. So based on, and a lot of these things can handle a frost. They can't handle a hard, super terrible freeze. Swiss chard, baby Swiss chard. Garlic, even if you're not going to plant a garden, you can plant fall garlic. And you can get that from BigElkGarlicFarm.com up in Pennsylvania, a sponsor of the program. Got great garlic, family owned and operated. And you can get that, and you can get that in the ground to get that harvested next late June, early July, based on the variety. You want to plant it about 30 days before your 30 days before your first, take a guess, hard freeze. And then you will have a little top growth, but you can get that established. And even if you don't have real estate that you want to lock up for 9 months on garlic, you can plant it in a flower bed, the side bed of the house. It will work very well in those areas. Even if it's not the greatest of soil, garlic will still grow and grow really, really well.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is just realizing that you're going to take up that space. And
it's worth it, though.
Yeah. And then also just, I know a couple weeks ago we talked about planting great garlic.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely want to.
Well, also, if you know where your tomatoes are going to go next year, and let's say the bed is 5 foot wide and you're going to have tomatoes on each side, down the center, you could do a row of garlic now and then plant your potatoes in the spring and then harvest the garlic in the summer next year and kind of utilize all the areas together.
That's a good idea. Definitely.
So another thing, when you ask a gardener what do they like, first is free, and then second is sale. So, what we want to do at this time of year, not necessarily in the garden, but preparation for next year. A good gardener is somebody that plans 1 year, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years ahead of schedule.
Right. For sure. Yeah. So you want to plan ahead. And so with that being said, you want to think about, your space and how maybe you could utilize that better. Now, like for us, we've thought about, the investment. We put in the raised beds this year, but we lost some space.
We're thinking about possibly, if things work out well for us, we may put in a couple of more raised beds.
Right. So that's one thing. Another thing is just thinking about, like, for example, we had really good green beans, but we didn't have good potatoes. So next year, instead of growing potatoes, what can we use in that space? We used, what did we use? The pallet bed, and then just a random
the root maker 4x4 raised bed, and then a little bit in the traditional raised bed that we built. We could plant more beans if you want to do that. But also now, with that take that in consideration, we want to look at if there's something we need. Did all our tools survive? Do we need new tools? Now's the time that these garden centers are doing year-end or season-end closeout sales. This might be the time to get the bagged soil or get the bulk material if they have it on sale, because they're wanting to move inventory so they can finish their books up for the year and that whole stuff there. But there's a lot of places that have things on sale that are legitimately things that you probably will need or do use in the garden.
Yeah, definitely. You could take a look to see what's on sale. Another thing you can do is you can,
if you don't want to go, you just, call or look on their website.
Right. Another thing you can do is you can talk with your neighbors, and if they have, a lot of people will separate their plants, divide their plants, and maybe if you're like, you've been checking out your neighbors, I don't know, hostas or something.
Because everybody's got too many of those.
Definitely, that's an idea. So that you can say, here's some zucchini.
Dividing the rosemary.
For the hostas. Yeah,
that type of thing. So, and then also now we don't want to forget to save seeds. Now is the time we can save seeds on certain varieties that are not biennials, which that would consider the easy ones are onions and leeks. Those takes 2 years to put seeds on. But tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers are okay and easy to save. You let them go until they turn completely yellow on the vine. However, if you have more than one variety, they will have a cross-pollination, so it's best to buy new seed next year. But tomatoes are very easy to save seeds. Peppers, you just pop them open and pop the seeds out on a ceramic plate and let them dry and label them, because you will forget, we got 7 plates of dried tomatoes. Do you remember what we had? No. Then you got mystery seeds for, 25 years. So how can one save tomato seeds? Cause I think that would be the most popular procedure in seed saving plant.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you have a tomato variety that maybe you don't, you have.
It was hard to get a hold of, first of all. Yeah. Or it's something that's been passed down for generations in your family and you want to continue that.
Like Uncle Bob gave you one at the family gathering? Yeah. Okay, so so one, you can save them easily by, what you want to do is tomatoes have that protective gelatinous slime around them. So you take a glass jar, just a regular drinking glass, whatever, put the tomato seeds in there, put a little bit of water. After a couple days, it's going to do this fermentation thing. So then you take, you'll smell it. It smells kind of like fermented tomatoes. Doesn't take long. Usually.
You want to do it near a ventilation area on the bench of the garage or something like that. You don't want to do it necessarily in the bedroom.
No.
Because it'll take about 3 days. And then you can...
So then what you do is you take like a sieve, something that is your tomato seeds aren't going to wash through. So not necessarily colander, but like a sieve of some sort, a mesh
strainer.
Thank you. And what you do is you rinse those seeds off, and then you take them, you want to put them on a ceramic plate, and they'll dry, and then you just flake them off. But you also want to label them, because you'll say, oh, I'll remember that this plate here on the left is Amish paste.
And you can't remember what you had for lunch today, nor can we. So take that for what it's worth. So,
right.
Yeah, that's a great way to save seeds. So those are some things you should be doing in the garden right now to either get things one more swing at the garden this fall or get prepped for next year.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.